Hey everybody, this is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. I'm here representing the Marching Roundtable podcast and also marchingartseducation.com, all this online learning that we're trying to provide for you. We have great information for you today that I think you're going to find really helpful about planning for this fall season that is not going to be typical. On the line with me today, Jeremy Williams. Jeremy, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm here, happy to be here, happy to provide information. I am, just so people know who I am the current owner of the Guard Closet. I also do product and marketing for Style Plus. I work with Algae. I work with a lot of different designers in terms of getting costumes made and flags made and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it'd be really helpful to get some information out there to everybody in this time when you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from the music and drill and all that kind of side of things, Drew Farmer from Marching Show Concepts. Drew, how are you?
Great. How are you doing today, Tim?
Great. Tell us about all the people you're here representing.
Well, here representing Marching Show Concepts, msconcepts.com, our app, Run Audio Effects for sound design and implementation, and also the slew of designers that we have, and the shows that quick off the shelf, all, from grade 1 all the way to grade 5+. Yeah, it's a lot, and I know that during this time, people are going to need a lot of help. And I'm in my house, my bunker in my house, and we could randomly have children or dogs show up. This is legit, actually right here.
Oh, here we go. We already have a special guest star.
We have a special guest
Whose dog is on the line.
And he has his don't go outside the fence boundaries thing on.
We all need these, or we all need those right now.
Oh yeah, we all need boundaries.
That might be a great solution for social distancing. We all get little collars that shock us if we get too close to each
other. Yeah, if you get within 6 feet.
And yeah, we're in this. Oh, we have. All right, there's other people showing up on the line. Hey there, how are you?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Tim, and that's Jeremy.
Yeah. Can you go play? And then I'm going to talk to them about shows and all kinds of stuff today.
So everybody that's watching or listening, thanks for being here. Listen, it's an unprecedented time. We're in this shutdown. Schools are closed down while we're recording this, which is in April 2020. And so the fall is not going to be a normal fall. And I think people are starting to think like, okay, I'm still getting my life in order and taking care of myself and my family. And that's good. That's what you should be doing right now, is sort of creating this new be at home scenario. But at a certain point, you're going to need to stop and think about what are we going to do about the fall. And our conversation here today is helping you to figure out some solutions, the things that might be helpful, ways to think about it, planning for different eventualities. We don't know when we're going to be all back with our students. We don't know what the fall season is going to look like. But I think we can all agree it's not just going to be a normal year, right, Jeremy? It's just not going to be a normal fall.
No, and I think that's the first point that we all have to recognize. Fall is going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be there. I doubt that people in Texas or Alabama or anything like that are going to let football not happen. And if football is going to happen, marching band's going to happen. It might just be in a slightly different form. And if you can start to think about how that can be different with all you have right now is time on your hands anyway, if you could think about how that can be still effective, still interesting, still, giving your students the best possible experience, but it's probably going to be slightly different. There's just going to be some things that are, and I think that we're going to talk about some of those things and some of the solutions that we, have come up with through other people that we've been talking to help everybody out during all of this time.
So before we start talking about all the different ways you might want to prepare for what your show is and how you're going to teach it and rehearsal schedules that might be altered and what your plans for the fall might be, because I think we all need to plan our shows differently this year. So that's one of our premises we're going to talk about. But before we do that, we're all right now ensconced in this online learning. which is sort of the world I live in at the Marching Arts Education website. You know, like and Jeremy, you've been doing some great stuff with Stop Plus TV, with online learning. So that is out there, and people are doing that right now with their students, which I think is awesome. But already, I asked some people on Facebook for input as we were getting ready to do this conversation, and a lot of people talked about, listen, I'm already doing things like leadership auditions online, and I'm doing things like preparing, starting to do clinics and lessons for my students. Obviously, we knew we were doing that online, but we're actually going to be needing to do some of that online planning for the fall. So let's start there. Jeremy, do you think that I think clearly people are going to be interacting with their students online as they're preparing them during the summertime?
Well, yeah, I think that there's a lot. It actually, if you think about it, it's kind of what, as color guard people and even band people, we should have been doing all along, and now we're kind of being forced to. Marching Show Concepts has a great audition video that's kind of like, they made and they produced, that has the basics of color guard that, we're going to be offering, and Drew could talk about that in a second. But just being able to record, the choreography, set up the phone, send it out there to the kids, them learning that and coming to your rehearsals already ready, already knowing this stuff. It's almost like you're going to have to, because, May, you don't know, June, who knows, it's going to have to be one of those things.
Yeah, we're actually in the process of finishing up the editing on a color guard audition video for flag and for rifle that we were going to offer for free as a download. And it's something that you're going to be able to stream from your phone. We'll give you information on that, the link to it. Probably going to try to offer that up on Tim's site and through our site as well. And we just really want to try to help. I was a color guard instructor in the 2000s, early 2010s, and I just realized that we had it so easy because we could just say, hey, everybody come on down, we're going to learn drop spins for an hour. But no, you don't get that this year. And we want to make sure that you have something that you can send out to all of your prospective guard members, that we just want to make sure that your guards aren't super tiny this year, because
I think that this also can help. I mean, you talk about recruiting and then, oh God, now it's going to be hard. We're not in school. Well, actually, again, you can use this as a way to make it much easier. You can send out this video to all the 8th graders and say, hey, try it. Or, hey, we're one of the ideas that was thrown about, because you might not have the equipment. You might not have grabbed that from the school and all of the haste, and you might not be able to get it. So maybe order one set of flag poles, one set of show flags that you're going to use, you're going to use for the fall. Order those now, get those done. You could get them in a couple of weeks if you get a stock flag. People are shipping. Style Plus is shipping. Other companies are shipping. So you can order one of your show flags, put it on a pole, weight it, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, whatever. They're still open. Get the weights, get the end caps, put your flagpole together, set up a drop place, whether it's your house or the school property or whatever. Lay them all out. Say, okay, kids, stop by, pick them up, and let them take it home.
You have to make sure they're 6 feet apart, though. Okay.
Right. Which you can do, but there's ways to do all this stuff without interacting with anybody in person. But that's what's so cool about this. Like, people are talking about recruiting videos. Well, you know what? We all should have been doing recruiting videos anyway. And that means getting your students to record something on their phone about why they love band, and then you and your staff talking about why it's important. You can edit that up really easy, even on your iPhone or any phone you have. Even if you don't have fancy software, you can create something to send out. It doesn't matter if it's a little rough and rugged around the edges. What matters is the information, the enthusiasm of the students and the staff as they're talking about it. That's really huge. Just like you said, Jeremy, and Drew too, there are already resources out there to help you do leadership auditions online. guard auditions online. People are really worried about guard auditions, but Drew, as you're saying, there are ways to do that on virtually, believe it or not. We just have to get creative. So that would be the main thing, is start getting that going. Get with your staff going and say, let's figure this out. Let's order a flag from Style Plus, have it sent to my house, and I can go out in my front yard and do the basics. And everybody learn, every kid can order one, or you can mail one to them. Like, there's a ton of ways to make this work. Or
Yeah,
Jeremy, as you said, have them, lay them out in your front yard, have them come by, jump out of the car and grab one and go.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're gonna go the route of ordering flagpoles and whatnot, and because you can't get into your school, order them in bulk still collect the money, or however you can do it, because they can get expensive ordering singularly. And I think that's another topic to really address here with all of this is, it is expensive to do this activity. It does warrant a lot of money and investment, and it might not look the best if you're trying to charge the kids a couple of $100s to still participate in this. Any type of money that's going to be coming to the entire United States, isn't going to look good when you're spending $200 of it, putting on a football show, you know what I mean? And I don't want to belittle it, because obviously this is like our existence, but it's just the perception of when you have other people not even having jobs and, not being able to afford their rent and things like that. Just have some perspective in, maybe don't get the most expensive flag this year. Maybe don't get the most expensive uniform this year. Maybe save that and, save it for winter, save your budget for that. And don't spend all of your budget going into this fall when there's so much uncertainty anyway. Just be smart in the planning of that.
Yeah, I think you're taking us right into one of the other topics we really wanted to make sure and address today, which is we need to do different kinds of shows this fall. We need to think differently about our shows this fall. Jeremy, I think you're right. I think a lot of people are out of work, are really hurting. This is not going to stop tomorrow. So I think even if everything settles down and is hopefully more back to normal by the fall, I still think a lot of people have just gone through something. And to me, this is just my personal opinion, then taking your band out with this ridiculously opulent, expensive looking production, which is what we normally love to do, I don't think it feels appropriate. So to me, this is the year to simplify. Maybe don't use all those props. Maybe use something simpler, use something you already have, do something, or just basic changes. Maybe, like you said, don't spend the most expensive costume ever. I think we have to adjust, because we have to think about the perception of what we're doing. So, Drew, I mean, do you want to speak to that? I think we need to really think about it.
I think that everybody is going to have their own budget, and they're going to have their own. And we have bands that have $2,000 for their entire budget for their entire year, and they can get a show with us. Then we have some that have $30,000-$40,000 to spend just on the show. So I think everybody, every band director is going to have their own ideas.
Right, but the trick is, now's the time to maybe, once you get settled in, sometime over the next few weeks, I think you need to maybe get on a Zoom call with your staff and start having that conversation. How do we need to adjust the show we have planned? Maybe that show gets put off to 2021 and we do something completely different this fall.
Okay.
Listen, I think this is the year for crowd-friendly, feel-good shows. I mean, I'm always a fan of crowd-friendly, feel-good shows, but if you're planning that apocalyptic show and, everybody was going to die at the end, this may not be the year. You know what I mean, Jeremy?
Maybe not. Might not be the smartest one. Might not be the smartest one. Yeah, and I think that you have to have, we could speak about these in terms of timelines, in terms of costumes, and then in terms of show design. But I think, as a general whole, you need to think about, is this going to be, I'm going to see the kids in May, Am I not going to see the kids until June? Am I not going to see the kids until the end of July? You don't know. And so I think you need to have sort of plans accordingly. You know, a May plan. You know, I was talking to Tim Lee. He's a designer of costumes and stuff like that, and he said, you know, he works with a lot of BOA bands and what have you, and he goes, look, you know, he's like, right now everybody that I'm working with has sort of a May plan, a June plan, and a July plan. So, you know, if we're going to see the students in May, this is how we're going to do it. If we're going to see the students in June, this is how we're going to do it. And if we're going to see the students in July, this is how we're going to do it. So I think that's
yeah, that's fantastic advice. In fact, that's what I would tell you to do with your staff, is have every scenario. How can we do this? What's our plan if we see them each of this time? Maybe even what happens if we don't see them till August? Like, we can make this work. You know, I love that one of the band directors that was giving me input on Facebook, I asked everybody, what do you think about this topic? And somebody said, you know what? We are like the masters of making it work in our activity. You know what? Yeah. Like, we can put on a show with a garbage bag and a trash can and to entertain people. So don't, you know, this may be the year we're going to show everybody how we can adjust and how smart and clever and creative we can be. But Jeremy, the idea of sitting down and saying, let's have a plan for every scenario, that to me, when I'm a planner, I feel calmer if I know, you know what, if we don't even get stuff until April 1st,
over the situation, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so little control over the situation right now. So, you know, take that moment and go, okay, this is May, this is June, and this is July, and this is what it looks like when it, you know, when it's different. You know, maybe you're doing one less song, or maybe, you know, you're whatever. Like, anything is within the realm of possibility. I doubt, you know, well, you know, I mean, I can address some of this if you want to talk about costume and design and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that, like, I was talking to Sue with Algie about yesterday in regards to this topic was, you know, maybe you're not getting that shade of eggplant, you know, that exact perfect shade of eggplant on your costume or on your flag. Maybe purple is going to be okay. You know, maybe just the simplicity of simple colors and simple design, you know, makes it more appealing, you know, in general. But this year, because you don't know and there's so much uncertainty, is the reason to do it. I mean, she was saying to me, she's like, you know, listen, China's pretty much back up and running, and you can get your basic navy, your red, your purple, you know, all that kind of stuff. However, all the super fun fabrics and all the super fun colored fabrics come from Italy. They're nowhere near being up and running right now. So getting all of those materials into this, you know, into the US is going to be difficult. And there's only going to be, you know, manufacturers, it doesn't matter who you are, they're all getting their stuff from the same place. And if you think in your mind, I'm going to get this like perfect shade of aubergine in a light twinkle, you know, one group this year might get that, but everybody's not going to get that. So you just need to be smart about the design choices you make going into the uniform design to begin with, and then really have several plans, like we were talking about the May, June, July plan. You know, maybe your May plan is, you know, I could still get a custom, you know, Sue, you know, I was talking to them that, you know, they and Joe Heininger, you know, I was talking to, they can get patterns out. They can get a sample out. If you want to do a custom design, that is cool. That can happen. Do it now. Make it happen now. Make the custom design process start right this very moment. But realize there could be altercations along the way. You know, realize they can give you a fair amount of time to get your measurements in from your kids. You know, they might be able to wait until mid-July, you know, to get all that kind of stuff. But get your pattern and all of that started early. But my advice is, don't go crazy. You know, they're there, they're ready for you. They'll take the work. All they're doing is sitting around too. They'll take it, but give them the leeway to be a little bit more free. They know the materials a little bit better. They know what they're going to be able to get in. They know what they're going to be able to, make happen for you. So don't expect the world. Just sort of take it back. And then once you get into the June and July, maybe your plan needs to be to go to a 4 to 6 week ship thing. I mean, a lot of stuff is being done in the printed world. Most of that stuff is about 6 weeks. So that's, if you look at August, if you have your design set and ready to go, again, doing the work prior to, because the trigger and your timeline for anything always starts when we get the measurements. So once we have the measurements and the sizes for the kids, that's when we can really move forward with getting everything done. But the design needs to be done ahead of time so that we can just boom, fire. So you give me a 6 week.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's, you're going back to your the 6 weeks, the one thing that Style Plus has, the configure, so hopefully you can see that, the configure system where you're able to go through and you're able to pick your every element of the, and that can be done with the dye sublimation process, the printing process. We actually set up a year ago our own dye sublimation printing shop here in Paducah, and we also, speaking of China, thank God they're back up, because we're expecting a couple of containers of vinyl pretty soon, and we have a vinyl printing company out in California. And it's just a lot cheaper to ship to California than it is to ship and then transfer everything across the United States. So, right now on the back end, we are ready for custom dye sublimated, and and really with this configure system, it doesn't really matter. You can be simple, but you can also be pretty extravagant, depending on how good your graphic designer is, and how, because Photoshop can do amazing things with imagery. And then, you can have things that are when they're printed, they look amazing. And you can even print textures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that configure system is brilliant because it does allow you one sleeve, no sleeves, this neckline, that neckline. It gives you like 4 or 5 different scenarios in every single part of your body. So you can easily take something from there, and create something super custom look. You can make, this slice look like leather from the printed. You could do so many things that, like, looking at something, from a simple standpoint, a simple silhouette standpoint, and being able to create within the dye sublimation pattern, all of the interest and intrigue, I think is sort of the way that the industry is going anyway. But this is now almost the way you have to do it for this season, because you're not going to get a lot of those like perfect little pieces of material, perfect little accessories to go onto your uniform this year. It's just not going to happen. Or, one of the things Sue was saying is, like, look, order the fancy uniform, order it. Then this might be the year that the moms all sit around and do some of their own rhinestoning. Like, don't go so far as to get all of that done by the company, but take it back in house, pull it back in. We as a society used to do that. I remember back in the day rhinestoning a lot of things. So there isn't any reason why, exactly. There isn't any reason why we couldn't go back to that. Obviously, nobody has home printers being able to print out the costumes or anything, but you could do some accentuating of it on your own and elevate it to that custom look that you ultimately want.
Yeah. One of the things that I did with an indoor group this year, because they were tired of waiting 10 to 14 weeks for their fancy costumes, I said, well, why don't we print a really nice looking unitard, and then let's get on Amazon, let's get on eBay and other places online and see if there are things that we can add to the costume to make it. So what we did was it was actually kind of cool. It was a fire. It was like, but it needed to be it needed to have leather textures and almost like a gladiator coming out of the fire. And we did, fire. And then on Amazon, we found these leather like shoulder pads and like a half skirt, almost Scottish looking.
Back in the day, I wore toe chain. Like
Yeah.
I was at Home Depot, literally got the bucket of toe chain and threw that on. I mean, that on top of, a fire unitard, that might not be the right imagery for this season, but
No, not this.
but that idea, rope, there's other things that you can go and get to add to something to give you that custom look. The point I think about the entirety of it is have a plan for May, have a plan for June, and have a plan, for July, because though, it's going to make a big difference in terms of you being able to get what you want. And if you're at least planned for it, you can be ready.
Right. And the bottom line of everything, I love that this discussion you guys are having. The bottom line is go ahead and design your show, design your costume, design what you want, work with those great designers you always do, but know this is the year for flexibility. Like you said, you may not get the exact color. It may be that we find out, it's going to be July. So that puts our July plan. Our July plan is it's simplified. They can get it to us faster, and we're going to do some of the work ourselves, which I guarantee if the world is ready to rally around and help each other. I think that's one of the positive outcomes of where we are. There's no way that everybody in your band parent program and your students aren't going to say, I will totally have a sequin sewing on party on my house on Saturday because we're so excited to be together, and we'll just we'll do it. Like, this is the year. And you know what? This is the way it ought to be anyway, I think. So why not let's take advantage of that and start a new normal of once we get back together doing this. So Jeremy and Drew, you're both saying this is the plan. Do your design now. Go ahead and contact your designer, make your plan, but know and talk to them about, I'm going to have maybe 3 or 4 versions of this, and then color guard people who are so meticulous about their details, and that's why you're so great, and that's why your shows are so amazing. This is the year to know, you know what, I'm going to have to be super flexible and know that we may have to go with our least favorite version of this outfit for this show, and that's going to be okay.
Yeah, you got to take your ego out of it a little bit, and allow it to really be about the kids' experience. The kids, they lost, a partial season, some of them, like you got to have yours. You got to have your time, and you got to do all of that. And this isn't about you, just so we're all aware, it is about the kids.
About the kids this year.
Right.
So it should always be about the kids anyway, right. But like this year, it's really, 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 really all about the kids.
Really about the kids, yeah.
I mean, we're just all cooped up. I mean, I'm in a bunker, like, trying to run a company, and I know I'm here with I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and as of this week, 6 cats. So I have a zoo. And I'm in this house, and I'm like,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at you, Drew.
I know. It's like our cat had babies this week, and
I'm trying to talk to him. He's like, I can't talk. There's cats being born. I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, guys, it was like a cat machine gun. Like, oh you get a cat, and you get a cat, and you get a cat. And
so the point is Drew's sitting around not doing a whole lot, and is ready to write your show.
Well, all right. So let's stop talking about cat machine guns, because that's freaking me out. But let's do this. Now let's shift this same conversation to your music and your drill. Okay. Because the same thing is true. Like, Drew, at your company, as you already said, you can send somebody a show today that's ready to go, or you can work with a whole set of designers and create something custom. So start the process, but have a series of plans. One of the things that I asked, like I said, I asked really smart band directors for advice. One of the things they said was, these are designers and band directors, They said, we're designing our show to be super flexible. In other words, we know that there's an entire piece of it, like one of our productions, that might not happen. Like we're creating a show where that whole third tune may just go away because they don't even know when they're going to start rehearsals, how it's going to go, what are the kids up to, whatever. So that, I loved that idea. First off, I think you should have a crowd-friendly show this year. Let that be more important than whatever competitive thing you might be thinking about. I think they need to be upbeat and positive and inspiring and not apocalyptic and down and dark, because we all love our dark shows, but this may not be the year. I've said that. Anyway, but the idea of having flexibility and like, listen, here's my advice for you. Have that third number out of 4 and say, you know what, this may not even happen. And you can create an artistic scatter to take you from the end of the chart here to the first chart here. And if you don't know how to create an artistic scatter, email me at tim@marchingroundtable.com and I will get on the phone with you and explain to you how to do that. Or perhaps we'll just do another one of these videos explaining it. But the point is, there's a way to take a piece, or maybe the closer doesn't even have to happen. You know what? Like we could figure out where we could end our show at the end of the ballad in such a way, you know.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Sorry, my phone just decided I was talking to it. I apologize. So anyway, the point is create flexibility. Drew, you have shows for every eventuality, right? You have shows that somebody could get today that are ready to go, including drill, or you have something that you can help them with, and you can help them create this flexibility into their program.
Yeah, so basically right now, and this is actually something I'm working with Jeremy on, is okay, if, for instance, we have that May, we have that June, we have the July, we want to make sure that, if you start now, you can still have a custom show. Easy. I mean, really, you have to think about it. A lot of our designers were going to be working full time this summer in drum corps. So now, boom, 12 weeks like that, free. So now is the time to call us, because we, like we have an 800 number, 800-356-4381. You can call us anytime. And if we aren't there or we're helping somebody, out, just leave us a message. We'll get back to you. Right now we're working remotely. We still have someone going into the office because they said that if they don't leave the house, that, their head's going to explode. So
I'm sure they're staying away from everybody. So
yeah. Oh, me too.
They're not going near anybody. It's okay, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me either. And so, have like Jeremy said, have your plan. What if later in the year? Just think about the future. Think about what could happen in August. I think the one thing though that I really want to stress is that, besides getting on the websites, looking at the shows, seeing what there is, available, we have shows for all budgets, but making sure that we don't skip the fundamentals and we don't skip the things that are going to make the experiences even better for the kids. You don't want to just slap together something. You don't want to just go out there and do an hour of fundamentals the first day and the kids barely know how to do things together, and then you're just like, okay, it's time to learn drill. Think about it. Get the music to the kids early. Have your drill designers send you the drill early, and then send the charts out to your student leaders. Tell your student leaders that they need to start going into the drill and circling their spots, creating drill cards. Get on Zoom calls with your student leaders and their sections, or band directors. Just do a Zoom call with every single one of your band kids. You know, it's really, you know, teach them all of the things that you don't have to be there physically for now. You know, teach them how to.
Something to be said, I think there's something to be said about giving them the information. It's even if it's like, okay, you know, we're standing with our feet in first position and this is how we're doing it. Even just giving them the information, especially if you're obviously if they're new, then when you do see them for the first time, finally, they'll already at least know, oh, okay, this is what this looks like. This is how, you know, it will help you sort of move the process along. You know, there's a lot of choreographers out there for color guard, and you know that's a thing. And obviously the band choreography is becoming a thing too, and that can be recorded and sent out to the kids just like the music can if you know what's going on. What this requires ultimately is a ton more planning on our end as the designers and what have you. And I think that that's why you know, companies like mine that has reps throughout the country, you know, that you could call me, you can email, you know, you can say, hey, I need help with this, you know, hey, you know, can you put me in some direction? I don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. I'm used to like, you know, sitting around the bar, having a couple drinks and talking to my other color guard friends about, you know, what uniform I should get. Well, you know, there are people that it's our job to do this, and we're sitting around doing nothing too. And we'll have a happy hour with you, you know, we'll have a happy hour with you and talk about your costumes, talk about your shows. You know, that's just who we are, and that's just what we like to do. So, you know, use your resources. They're out there for you. I don't think there's ever been a time that, whether you were buying the product from me or not, that if you came up to me and asked me my opinion about, you know, what I think could help your show or what I think could help your kids, that I wouldn't want to give it to you. I think that that's who we are as professionals. So using those resources and finding the ways to connect to the people that can help you achieve what we're telling you to try and do. Ultimately, here we are, you know, saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. It'll make it a lot better. But, you know, don't feel like you have to do it by yourself either. We're here.
Right. So this brings me to one of the main points I want to make here. And that what you both said is super, super great. Makes perfect sense to me. Here's the thing, everybody watching, okay? You should start now planning your show. And you can have meetings with your staff and discuss it endlessly. We're not telling you not to have a fantastic, detailed, well-planned show. In fact, I think what we're actually telling you is your show this year has the opportunity to be the most well-planned, the most best organized, the best paced, best effects, whatever, even if we're simplifying certain elements. We're not going to have the most extravagant props this year, whatever, but you should be able to spend you have all this time. Come on, we all know we have extra time. Once you get yourself settled, start having those meetings. Start figuring out, what should our show be this year? Are we going to change gears? Are we going to do something different? Are we going to table that show for another year? But then start meticulous planning. Call the music people. Call people like Jeremy with the costume stuff and start that conversation. Here's the thing I want to say. Yes, you can do all this planning. You can create videos of the choreography. You can create videos of how to do the basics. You can create videos of choreography for color guard. You can do all this planning. You know what, people? This is how we should have been doing it anyway. So that's my line. If you're thinking, I have the opportunity to plan this thing meticulously, you know what? We watch those shows at Bands of America and we're like, how the hell do they do that? You know what they do? They do this. They plan meticulously. They spend hours and hours on conference calls. Maybe they're usually sitting in a room, but now, and they have these conversations. What color should it be? What is this design? What are we going to do? How can we pace the show? Let's move some things around in the show. Let's create flexibility so this movement could go away. Do that, but just know that this is actually how the top groups design. And you watching this video have the opportunity to take your design, every part of your design up 12 notches. We are given an opportunity here to do things better, to do things right, to plan better, to have more flexibility, which we should have anyway. So when you have your May plan, you have your June plan, you have your July plan, maybe even have your August plan, but then you had spent all this time. Listen, We're all stuck at home and we're dying for human interaction. So start having happy hour staff meeting, meticulous planning, get it all figured out, be super flexible, plan meetings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, I mean, I think it's, you have to, and there's so, I mean, it's, there is time to do it. So, you know, I think the very bottom line with all of this is, you know, the May plan, the June plan, the July plan, and even like you said, Tim, the August plan. I mean, you know, you might get to a point where you still have not seen the kids. It's August. You didn't, you know, you didn't get to measure them. You didn't get to whatever. You have to, you know, find costumes online that exist for something. You know, that's one of the things that Drew and I are doing is we're taking the costumes that I have on consignment at Guard Closet, matching them to shows that already exist at Marching Show Concepts. So you might have to look at things a little differently, like what can you get to put on the kids before you know, do the music part of it. You may have to do that this year if you get stuck, but it's going to be there for you. We are here. That's what I think, you know, we are here to help you make it happen. We want to see every program be successful. So we are here to do that, and reach out to us, go to our websites, you know, email us, just say, hey, I need some help, and we will help you. We have the most up-to-date information. We know, you know, where the manufacturers are with, you know, getting materials in. We know where the companies like Style Plus are in getting gloves in and getting flags in. And, you know, you calling into the 800 number, you know, and not getting a person might, you know, or just ordering it online. Like I would nix just going on the computer. Yes, I would nix just going on the computer and ordering something. Yeah, you need to talk to them, because you need to talk to a person. Yeah, call and use the call and use the catalog, and get it.
No, it's great.
I think the really cool thing that's going to come of all this is that it's really going to push a lot of companies to get a little bit more planned ahead. I mean, digital sublimation has its positives, but I think that a lot of people have had experiences with some businesses that, you know, if a company is slow and you know it, you should probably start reaching out to them now if you want to use that company. Now, I'm not going to say that all companies in the marching arts are extremely speedy. You know what? It's okay. You know those companies and what they're doing. What we're trying to do right now is we just bought a new dye sublimation printer last September at MSC, and we can print a band top in 30 seconds. And if, you know, technology like that, yeah, plan now. Like, seriously, call us now. We have designers that are just begging to get started, you know. Guard Closet, call them. If they don't have something, they'll call us. They will make sure you are taken care of. If you call MSC, 800-356-4381, you
well, but no, but you're going to take care of it. The point, and the point we're making here is that this is true for all the businesses too. Like, you know, we're talking about our businesses because that's what we know. But every business out there is also here to help you, and they all want to be the flexibility. But if you plan now and you have your plans and you know you're going to be flexible, you know, figure out what that show should be now. Your kids deserve that. And then I got to tell you, just like you guys said, the kids are going to be sitting around all summer dying to do band, wanting to spin their flag, whatever. So start making videos, send it to them. Everybody, here's what we're going to work on this week with our flags out in the front yard. The kids are going to want to do that. They're going to want to play their music. Send them the show music. You know, band directors are talking about, they're making, do what?
I said the parents are going to want you to do that. Get them
Yeah.
out of the house. Get them
Give them
doing
something to do. Give them something to practice engagement. I mean, you know what? Again, this is what we probably should have been doing all along, but this is the
Right.
year to adapt this, right? Send them that music file that has their part and they can play along with it and they can all practice. We're going to get them engaged. And then you know what? Even if we do all finally get together in August, they're going to be ready. And you're not going to be starting from zero. They're going to be ready. They're going to be prepared. You've planned. What is this?
That's my niece.
Okay, Drew showing up his phone, showing his niece spinning a flag. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is the this right here. They want us as designers and people to get there together, because if we don't, exactly, plan now. If we don't right now, and it is about the kids, let's not disappoint them. They're going to be like balls of energy, and they're just going to want to get out of the house. They're already like, I've never seen more kids and more families walking around neighborhoods than I have in ever, like since
Isn't
the
that
80s.
lovely? I think that's a really positive outcome, and I'm hoping some of that sticks. But you're right.
Oh
Our
my
students
God.
are waiting for us to engage them. We can keep them engaged and busy and loving band and loving color guard and loving drumline right now all summer. It's going to take a little work, but you and your staff can do that, and that's going to pay huge benefits. I think we've made our points here, guys. I think this was really helpful information. Final thoughts, Jeremy, what do you want to say wrapping this whole thing up? Because I do think this has been really valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that make the smart choices, like Tim said right from the beginning. Really know, you have your May, June, July plan. Start now. But again, know to be flexible. Yes, you could still do your custom costume right now. In another couple of weeks, you're going to want to reevaluate and go to a 4 to 6 week costume. In another couple of weeks after that, you're going to want to go to something that already exists, and maybe you're purchasing on consignment, that somebody else was wearing. It's the same thing, would apply to the shows. Like, have the flexibility, like Tim said, to remove stuff from your show. Know that that's going to be the thing. Condition the kids. Don't expect, if you don't do anything, they're not going to do anything all summer. If you don't do anything in the next couple of months, they're not going to do anything the next couple of months. So don't expect them to come walking in if you haven't done anything, physically being able to do it. Just that physical conditioning that you do in all of those summer camps that you usually get to. There might be schools that just say, no, you're not coming in until August. So you've got to still work all of that other summer stuff, and figure out ways to make that happen. And if you got the plan now, then you'll be good to go.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to tell you guys there's going to be a live webinar on Monday night, April 13th, where we're going to talk about that very thing. The students are going to be deconditioned when we get to them. So we need to design our shows for safety. I actually think the shows are going to need to be less physical. We're going to have to expect less of our students. But then the opposite is also true. There are ways, like we're describing, that you can engage them and keep them active and try to get them into shape over the summer. So that's a webinar. I hope you guys will go to marchingartseducation.com and look for. Drew, final thoughts from you on all of this stuff.
Plan ahead. I mean, literally just what you said. One thing I want to mention is that we are Marching Show Concepts. We've teamed up with Marching Arts Education, and we are getting you 7 free days, unlimited access to the entire platform, and you can use code MSC to get that. And we just really want to make sure that band directors have access to educational materials that you might not have had access to before. And right now is the time to get on platforms like Marching Arts Education. It's time to get on there and do that. It's time, like he said earlier, plan ahead. It's time to do it. And the more that we plan ahead and we start getting our students involved in the process, and we start having higher expectations now, we'll be able to have higher expectations in the fall. And I think whatever we want our kids to be able to achieve, we need to make sure that right now we're working to actually help them do it and push them. Some of them are going to need some motivation to get out of the house. Their, mental health at this point is going to be something that we really need to stress. Not
And
only
we've always been a family, marching band's
yes,
always been a family. So take care of your family, as you would your regular family during this time. Like,
yes,
bring them in, bring in those 8th graders, bring in those freshmen, because they need it too. They need it too. And now it's not intimidating for them to do it on their own and then come in.
yeah, yeah. The last thing that I'll say is super important, I think, for mental health is don't stay inside your house, or open up a window, get that natural light, go out and breathe the fresh air within but stay away from people. I mean, yeah, go spin your flag, go work on your marching fundamentals, exercise.
Take your trumpet and run around the block.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great advice. And the thing is, ultimately, we have an opportunity here. Like, I think we can engage our students more than usual. We can engage upcoming 8th graders or whoever's coming into your program, new Guard members. We can engage them. We're just going to have to do it in a different way. We're all figuring out how are all these different ways that we can do that. But it's possible to engage them. I actually think it's possible that we could have more engagement with our students over these next few months getting ready for the fall than we normally ever do. They're going to be craving it. They need it. It will help our programs. So we really could come out of this not only with some new habits and some new systems and some new processes, but actually with our bands in a better place, maybe than they might have been when they all show up at band camp. So it's an opportunity. Hope these ideas have been helpful. Drew Drew at Marching Show Concepts, Jeremy at Guard Closet and at Style Plus, and other businesses. Those are our businesses. I'm at Marching Roundtable and also marchingartseducation.com. We're here to offer our help, and our point here today is there are tons of great business people, educators that are out there doing the same thing. So just whoever your people are, engage with them now. Start planning now. You're going to have a great fall. I think it's going to be a really special fall because there's nothing going to make me happier than to be able to get together with my group and feel the love and be so excited to be back together, and let's do a really happy, positive show. I can't wait. So thank you guys for having this conversation. Drew and Jeremy, you were awesome.
Thanks. I'll take it.